Rwanda's Anti-Genocide Commission published a book on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. The Queen of England, Elizabeth II, pays tribute to frontliners in her Commonwealth speech. And Macky Sall has vowed to use all his powers to restore peace and normalcy after days of unrest in the West African country. These and more coming on The World Today. Stay tuned. Good evening, viewers. This is The World Today newscast with me, Sohna Tunkar, and now to our news in detail. In order to preserve the truth about the genocide that was perpetuated against the Tutsis in Rwanda, Rwanda's National Commission for the Fight Against Genocide has published a book on how the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis was prepared and implemented. In 1994, about 800,000 people were killed within 100 days in Rwanda by ethnic Hutu extremists. They were targeting members of the minority Tutsis community as well as their political opponents, irrespective of their ethnic origin. We have more of that in this report.
The Rwanda genocide has undoubtedly created many scars to the world as gruesome human rights violations occurred during the events of 1994. Neighbors killing neighbors, and some husbands even killed their Tutsi wives, saying they would be killed if they refused. The 400-page book is published in Kenya, Rwanda, English and French languages, with detailed how the genocide against Tutsis was implemented. The book is said to clearly show the role of the government at the time, doctors who were meant to save lives but took them instead, and the UN that intentionally delayed calling the atrocities in Rwanda as a genocide. Officials at the National Commission for the Fight Against Genocide says the information in the book can be used as a weapon against those who try to deny it. Dr. Jane Damascene Bisimana, the executive secretary of the commission, says the youth need the book in order to fight those trying to hide the facts of the history.
The
youth should have the equipment to do this, the evidence that can help them to fight those that try to change the facts about this history, negating what happened. You will find such people on social media sites, on YouTube, spreading lies and trying to make up another genocide. This book tells how the genocide was perpetrated on a daily basis in detail, starting on the 7th of April in 1994, indicating locations where the most people were killed, and that is what I can say is unique about this book.
The young people are being encouraged to read it so they can know the truth about what really happened. The Commission says it will work with the Ministry of Education to ensure that the book is made available in colleges and universities.
We will focus on schools as our budget progressively allows us. That is our priority, and we want students to get these books. In fact, they should be encouraged to read more in general, and so we will do everything possible so that these books are available in school libraries, starting with colleges and universities. Also, we work with the Ministry of Education and the Rwanda Education Board to ensure that the part of the curriculum to do with history includes the genocide that was perpetrated against Tutsis. We will do it such that some of the information in these books finds its way into classroom lessons.
About 800,000 people were killed in Rwanda by ethnic Hutu extremists in the 1994 genocide. About 85% of us are Hutus, but the Tutsi minority has long dominated the country. In 1959, the Hutus overthrew the Tutsi monarchy and tens of thousands of Tutsis fled to neighboring countries, including Uganda. Reporting for iAfrica News, this is Mariama Cham.
Rwanda has published a book recollecting the 1994 genocide that killed 800,000 Tutsis. Now appearing before the Truth Commission, the Minister of Interior on Tuesday testified on the alleged massacre of the West African migrants in 2005. Honorable Yankuba Sonko was the then Crime Management Coordinator of the Gambia Police Force and also a member of the task force that assisted the investigation of the UNAU-led delegation on the alleged committed crimes. Sonko believes there was a cover-up in the investigations.
Honorable Yankuba Sonko told the commission that he was not present in the country when the massacre took place in July 2005. He also did not dispute the fact that there was a cover-up in the investigations of the alleged massacre.
Well, when facts are known now, it's a cover-up, definitely, by all circumstances. But even
that time, when this task force was set up, it was known that it was a cover-up, especially within the circles of police.
Probably it will be done by people who are here at the time and they know the facts. I don't know the facts. All the time is that some migrants were killed here.
Acknowledging the many unlawful dismissal and detention on the Jammeh's administration, Sonko cited the efforts he made in reinstating people who were dismissed on Jammeh's orders. This, according to him, was the reason for his dismissal as Inspector General of Police.
He says, "Sir, I have a message for you." His Excellency said, you beg on behalf of your people too much.
Was that the reason why you were dismissed? Because
well, that's it's true, because anytime my officers were dismissed, I would go to him. I would seek clearance to meet him. I will explain to him all the circumstances. And most of the time, he will accept it and then reinstate them.
Diverting attention from the alleged massacre of the West African migrants, Honorable Sonko highlighted the unlawful activities and violations committed by the junglers. He said he couldn't do anything to address those violations as IGP because there was no information on who was commanding the junglers.
You try to find out under whose command they are. You find it very tough to know who they are. So they are all there. I know they should be under the command of the CDS. But if the CDS, because as the IG, if you want to investigate anything, you have to let the CDS know and release that person to come. But if the CDS is saying they are not under my command, it's difficult to know.
On 18 December 2009, Sonko was promoted to Deputy Inspector General of Police. After 5 months, he was elevated to the position of Inspector General of Police, a position he held twice under the former President Yahya Jammeh until his removal in 2017. Later in August 2019, Sonko replaced Honorable Mbalo as the Minister of Interior under Barrow's administration. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Khadija Seka.
Moving on from that report by Khadija Seka, 54 nations across 6 continents whose traditions and cultures and ideas are bonded by the Commonwealth spirit yesterday celebrated yet another annual Common Day. In marking this historic and remarkable day, Queen Elizabeth II delivered her Commonwealth speech focusing on the devastating pandemic. She used the opportunity to highlight the importance of getting in touch with the rest of the world, most especially loved ones. The Queen walked down St. George's Hall, flanked by Commonwealth flags at Windsor Castle. The day is a rare one, which replaces the annual service at Westminster Abbey. Few choir groups sing songs of reflection on unity, love, and togetherness. In commemorating the day in an unusual period the world is faced with, Queen Elizabeth II paid tribute to the frontline workers helping in the fight against COVID-19.
Over the coming week, as we celebrate the friendship, spirit of unity, and achievements of the Commonwealth, we have an opportunity to reflect on a time like no other. Whilst experiences of the last year have been different across the Commonwealth, stirring examples of courage, commitment, and selfless dedication to duty have been demonstrated in every common nation and territory, notably by those working on the front line who have been delivering healthcare and other public services in their communities.
Charles, the Prince of Wales and the heir apparent to the British throne, said Commonwealth Day is a reminder of the remarkable diversity of a family of some 2.4 billion people from across 54 nations.
The Commonwealth has been a cornerstone of my life for as long as I can remember. It is my dearest wish that it might also be the cornerstone of a sustainable future for us all. As we recover from everything that we have endured and continue to endure through this pandemic, we have an unprecedented opportunity to change course. By harnessing the extraordinary potential of our Commonwealth family, we are uniquely placed to lead the way.
Patricia Scotland, the Commonwealth Secretary General, urged member states to renew their commitment towards upholding the historic values of the Commonwealth, laying emphasis in building peace among nations.
Let us pledge ourselves afresh to uphold the values of the Commonwealth, that every person possesses unique worth and dignity, that we should be good stewards of nature and of the whole earth, that there should be justice for everyone and peace between nations, that joining together a worldwide family, we build on shared inheritances, that we cooperate with mutual respect and goodwill to deliver a common future for the good of all. And through Commonwealth connection, we learn from one another and innovate to transform our communities, our nations, and our world.
In the early history of the Commonwealth, the community was built only within British Empire, and it is one of the world's oldest political associations of states. But in modern-day Commonwealth, countries are entitled to entrance based on free and equal voluntary cooperation, meaning they don't need to have any historic ties to the British colonial rule before joining. The day is celebrated annually since its formation in December 11, 1932, in the second Monday of March, and this year falls on March 8, coinciding with International Women's Day. For African News, Sohna Tunkara. The Queen of England, Elizabeth II, pays tribute to frontline health workers during her Commonwealth speech. Now, the President of Senegal, Macky Sall, has vowed to use all his powers to restore peace and normalcy after days of unrest in the West African country. President Sall made the remarks for the first time after days of demonstrations over the arrest of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, resulting to countrywide protests. Senegalese government condemned the protests as a flagrant violation of the state of emergency put in place to tackle coronavirus. Here is more of that.
The arrest of Ousmane Sonko has sparked days of unrest across the country as demonstrators destroyed public structures and looted several others. At least 5 people were said to have been killed. Macky Sall, during his address to the nation on Monday, vowed to restore peace and calm.
Attaquer des commerces.
As far as I'm concerned, I will use all the powers conferred on me by my office to consolidate the return to calm and serenity in the best interest of the nation, the security of persons and properties, the defense of the Republic, and the preservation of our democratic institutions.
President Sall says he understood that the anger expressed by demonstrators is linked to the impact of an economic crisis made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Leurs suggestions et recommandations constructives.
No one can deny that the entire world, including our country, is going through a deep economic crisis, causing millions of jobs and income-generating activities to be lost. I have seen many of you take to the streets to express your anger and your unhappiness because you don't have a job, because you aspired for a better future, because for a year of combating the COVID-19 pandemic, your daily lives have been marked by economic gloom, social restrictions, and the limitation of leisure and relaxation areas.
The Senate leader further argued that there is no justification for the regrettable act of demonstrators for destroying public buildings. Sall described the act as destruction of years of investment and hard work that have been wiped out. He also extended his condolences to the victims of the disease while wishing those injured speedy recovery. Meanwhile, Usman Sonko, who faces a rape allegation, was indicted and released on bail on Monday. He denies the allegations, and his supporters say the accusations are politically motivated. After his release, Sonko expressed gratitude to people who took the fight upon themselves. Sonko also said he had sleepless nights, destruction and loss of lives during the
I would like to say to the Senegalese that my heart is heavy. For the past few days, my sleep have been very disturbed, not because of the case in question, because it leaves me indifferent, but because there has been too much damage, too many victims, too many murdered, since it is murder, assassination, too many wounded people, too many people in prison, too many families affected, and obviously we feel more or less indebted to all those people who have taken it upon themselves to fight.
Usman Sonko's lawyer affirmed that his release is under judicial supervision. Many Senegalese are dubious about the accusations against Sonko because two other top rivals of Sall were previously targeted by criminal charges that prevented them from running for president in 2019. UN, ECOWAS, and several civil society organizations called on all parties to exercise restraint and remain calm. Reporting for iAfrica News, this is Mariama Cham.
Now, the United Nations mission in South Sudan on Monday joined the rest of the world to celebrate International Women's Day. This comes at a time when the world is in dismay over the COVID-19 pandemic. We have more of that in this report.
Empower women. Rise, awareness of God's right.
From every corner of the globe come together on 8 March to celebrate International Women's Day, which is also a call to action for accelerating gender parity. The theme for this year's celebration is Choose to Challenge. The UN mission in South Sudan joined hands with the people of South Sudan in advocating for equal rights for women in the world's newest country, which continues to suffer from conflict, death, and massive displacement years after civil war ended. Throughout South Sudan, many women lack the ability and opportunity for education and health resources. According to the World Bank, 51% of the population in South Sudan is living under the poverty line. Two young women, Joy Barasa and Hipe Bena, are expressing their support for women's rights through their music.
Some things women look into it critically in a different way that men cannot do. So they are great influential. That's why I say women must be part of decision making. And also, women, they don't jump into making decisions. They first analyze, if I take this, if I make this and this, what will be the impact on the society, on my family? They first think critically before making decisions. So when women are included or taking part in making decisions, so you will see that decisions that are going to make will be matured.
Equal rights for women, side by side, for better society.
Joy believes that music gives her courage to speak up and speak out to the young people of South Sudan on issues that matters the most.
We can use music to talk about GBV. We can use music to talk about economic activities. We can use music to talk about the unity of youth. They said we
The youth, we are the future. We use music to talk about it to the young people, to know, to influence them to know their rights as young people. And we can use music to talk about this segregation among us.
Similarly, Hipe Bena, a South Sudan singer, was once forced by her family to get married when she was only 17. Today, Hipe is a staunch advocate for girls, education and equal rights. She draws on her own experiences to reach people through her song.
When I was 17 years old, like I was really forced to get married, but I didn't know even how to the responsibilities of a house. I didn't know anything about it. And I tried to ask myself, getting married to a rich guy, and maybe I took two decisions: either they chase me at home or I marry that guy. But now when it came today is the day they are coming to pay their things, their dowries, I just decided to move out of the home. I did not stay home. I just went to my uncle's house. So I stayed there. My father quarreled. He said a lot of things. I thought he would have killed me the next day he saw me. But after a while, I pleaded to him. I asked him that, Father, if I did you anything wrong, please, I'm very sorry. But now really, I'm not ready for marriage. I'm not ready for anything. If I don't wish for any man now to ask me for my hand in marriage.
On this year's International Women's Day, the United Mission in South Sudan reiterates its commitment to doing everything in its power to empower women and support them in having an equal voice in the pulse for peace across South Sudan. Women in South Sudan have gained more power but still face issues of inequality. Many women in this area do not have adequate access to health resources and education, while often face inequality. Reporting for iAfrica TV News, Binta Jallo.
Women across the globe celebrated International Women's Day in different style. And from Malawi, coming back home, Malamin Sise, a retired commissioner of police for the Kanifing region, who was also the head of the panel for the investigations on the killings of the West African migrants, testified at the Truth Commission on Monday. And according to Mr. Sise, the investigations done after the execution of the West African migrants by the junglers in the Gambia was a cover-up for the government. Binta Jallo has the rest of that story.
As on the massacre of the West African migrants in 2005 continues, more witnesses are coming to tell their testimonies. The then head of the investigation panel on the killings of the West African migrants, Malamin Sise, told the commission that the investigation carried out on the execution of the West African migrants was a cover-up for the government.
Was it genuinely intended to uncover the truth? Or was it designed to cover up for government?
I don't think we are trying to cover up the government.
Why did you tell the commission just a while ago that it was cover up?
I mean the two, the two Gambian citizens.
But isn't the killing of the Ghanaians the even bigger cover-up? Wasn't that a big cover-up?
It's more than a big cover-up. It was more than a big cover-up.
Exactly.
By the state agents responsible.
The witness also said the first finding of the report they presented was false.
And this was your investigations about the 8 Ghanaians who were killed at the Tanjeba Reserve,
correct? Yeah, this is the panel report.
Okay. Let's look at your first finding. The 8 African bodies were discovered at Brufut. However, the panel could not link the bodies. to any specific nationality, as there was no identification documents found on them. Nor did members of the public were able to identify them, even though opportunity had been given for possible identification. This is a lie. You agree?
However, the witness also testified on the investigation panel of the failed coup in 2006 and the investigation of the 2 Gambian Americans who were murdered in the Gambia as well. The massacre of more than 50 West African migrants is termed as the largest loss of life during the rule of former President Yahya Jammeh. Reporting for iAfrica TV News, Binta Jallo.
That was all from me and the rest of the crew on The World Today. Up next is Gambia 24 with Mariama Cham at 19:30 GMT. I am Sohna Tunkara. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
Gambia may be the smallest country in Africa, but it will host the second largest gathering of world leaders in 2022 to succeed.